Warbringer also earned their stripes during the mid-2000s thrash revival. Formed in 2004 in California, they dropped their debut album War Without End in 2008 and followed it with Waking into Nightmares in 2009. By 2011, they were primed to release their best work yet. Up until this point though, the band had faced some tough times. There was a lot of shifting members and internal tension, but they knew they needed this album to be something special. For their third album, they teamed up with Steve Evitz and laid down 10 of their best tracks. Personally, I don't think there's a bad song on this record. What I really love about Worlds Torn Asunder is that it has a very Master of Puppets kind of feel. Not so much in the songwriting, but because it's perfectly crafted. They took their time with all these songs, they made them catchy, but they didn't overdo it in any one area. And I feel like this is the perfect snapshot of the band, which is reminiscent of what Metallica did on Master of Puppets. Warbringer had crafted their own sound by this point, but there's still splashes of the genres that influenced them on this record. And you can hear that in songs like Future Ages Gone. The verse riff has a very mellow death vibe to it. It's a pedal tone riff using the melodic minor scale. So for this one, I'm using the TSE 808. That goes straight into an EQ at the front end of the amp. And then for the amp on this one, I'm using the Fluff 2C. Really like the amp, I really like the character that it has, and I wanted to switch it up from using the neural DSP all the time. So for this tone, I took a really in-depth look at the video that John Locks put out for his pedals, because in the background you can see his settings on his Mesa Boogie Mark V. So I did my best to try and match the settings that he had. And I'm actually really proud of this one, and I think it's one of my best ones yet. And then at the end of the signal chain, I'm still using the G1275 and the V30. And then I just have one more EQ to finish it off to tighten up the sound, take out a whistle tone, my usual thing. Worlds Torn Asunder is without a doubt Warbringer's best album. John Keevill's lyrics are some of his catchiest yet, and his vocal performance is top tier. Carlos Cruz nails every drum pattern, and Annie Locks owns the bass. Adam and John bring some of the best riffs the thrash scene has ever seen. They've woven their influences into this album, but they've truly found their own sound. For some reason, this album gets overlooked, even by Warbringer fans, who prefer their later albums. A lot of people will say Woe to the Vanquished or Weapons of Tomorrow are their best album, but I'd argue that Worlds Torn Asunder is their most memorable and their most balanced.